Hey, everybody. I'm Matt.
I'm Deanna.
And this is Chasing Balance. And in today's episode, we're talking about time management hacks for parents. So, time management is a crucial skill for navigating the demands of both parenthood and work life because it allows individuals to juggle multiple responsibilities effectively, reduce stress, and find balance between family, career, and most importantly, personal well-being. Now, we're going to look at some of the common struggles parents face with balancing work, family, and personal life. And the biggest question is why do we have this belief that we have to do it all?
Yes, this is all super good, and we can really dive into this stuff. I feel like a majority of us right now in this phase of having kids, anywhere between toddlers to even 15, 16, we have this conception in our head that we have to, or misconception in our head that we have to do everything and anything for these children.
Yeah.
And also in the work world, we feel like we have to do everything ourselves and accomplish all those big projects and prove ourselves. And really we shouldn't be putting that amount of stress and pressure on ourselves.
So we need to prioritize.
Yes.
So what is prioritization?
So not only is it impossible to do everything, and we have to really understand that, that's an unrealistic goal that we all have.
It's unhealthy too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that mindset in parents, we have to prioritize tasks and responsibilities so that it becomes realistic and allows us to have a healthy mindset and focus on what truly matters. Now, what are those things that truly matters? I think that varies between each individual family.
Right.
Making sure that we cover all the grounds, the basic, the high level priorities, and then, going into the mid-level and then basically leaving the rest at the bottom of the food chain.
So each family needs to identify the most important tasks for each day.
Exactly.
Or what works for their family through the week.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, it might not be on a weekly basis because we do have those monthly things that we have to do.
Right.
Or even the yearly things that we have to do. So, I mean, taking into account all of those responsibilities and really prioritizing them will allow you to have a healthier mindset, a healthier outlook on, family and also on your work. All those big things that take up a majority of your life space.
And if you also, figure out what the most important tasks are and you rule out all the bullshit that doesn't really matter, you don't need to have. When one thing is set, if your kids are set, if you know that they're set at school, you know that they're set at sports, you have healthy lunches, you have healthy routines for them, other things can thrive. Such as far as your work career.
Yes.
Right? So you're not at work worrying about what's going on with your kid or did you get this done for your kid, or is your kid set up for success for the next day? That way that you can actually focus on what you're actually working on right then. Either you're focusing on your kids or you're focusing on your job or you're focusing on this or you're focusing on that, right? All the other bullshit doesn't matter and you take that off of your plate.
Yeah. And I mean, you can also do that in the reverse as well. You have to do that at work in order for when you have to turn off your work brain, you can focus in on the important things that are necessary to accomplish in your family life.
Right.
Because you don't want to be doing all of the tasks and everything that you have to get done for the family, or even, doing the important stuff such as setting aside family time and in the back of your mind, you're thinking about this project, or, I have to make sure that I remember to add this to my work docket. You gotta set up good tasks and good routines and good systems and a work base so that your family side can also thrive.
Right. So now tell me, what are your top priorities and how do you handle them on a daily basis? You can rule me out. Like, what are yours? When you wake up in the morning, what are your top priorities? What are you laughing about? No, because I'm sure, like, well, I'll go first, okay?
Yeah.
So obviously the top priority is to wake up on time so my kid gets to school on time.
Yes.
Which these start times are absolutely bullshit.
Yeah, 100%.
But waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning to make sure my kid gets there, that's the number one priority. The second one is obviously I come back home and help you with the other two kids, get them out the door.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, I log into work, but really my most important top priority is that I typically feel like shit if I don't do something as far as like exercise goes.
Okay.
Like I feel my work life is affected if I don't go out on a run. If I don't do something physically active, I feel like my work day is screwed. And once I have my run in or an exercise in or something that's physically active, I feel like the rest of my work day is more successful.
Oh, okay.
That's how I prioritize, like get the kids going. And then I need to do something to get my head, get any stress out, get anything like that out of the way. And then I can focus on work. That's how I set my priorities for the day.
Okay. Mine are similar. You know, I make sure that I wake up on time because when I need to wake up, you're already gone. And we all know that I don't wake up for anything.
Yeah, there's never been a time where I've came home and been like, hey, Deanna,
you gotta get out
wake up.
the door in 10 minutes. Well, I just sleep through all the alarms and I even have my watch alarm on. And you think that like vibration would wake me up, but no, it doesn't.
Right.
So yeah, that's the main priority is just waking up in general. And then, I mean, getting them out the door, yes. Making sure that they actually eat their breakfast, yes. Making sure that they've brushed their hair, yes, because they look like slobs if they don't. But then when it comes to work, I normally, my priority at work is I look at my email count and I subtract 15. So once I get to that number, whatever that number is, and I've known, or I know that I've responded to at least 15 major tasks, then I'm good in terms of what I've prioritized for work. Now I go through everything.
And then you just log off and go back to sleep.
Exactly. Fuck it. No, like I make sure that I've done those at least, you know, like 10 to 15 major things so that I don't have to talk to people. Like I know that I'm going to hear back from this person if
just
I don't.
Following up on this.
Right. Yeah. I don't like that.
Congratulations. You're the most annoying person in the office.
Yeah. And
Thanks
then
for following up.
And then if I reach that and I get it all done and I've done like that part of work, then I feel like I'm pretty much accomplished on my work side of things.
Right.
With that being said, a majority of my work is a lot of emails because that's just what corporate is. And then from a physical side of things, if I get one good workout in and I hit like 40 zone minutes, whatever that consists of, mentally I'm
40
good.
40 is good. 40 minutes is good.
I don't feel like it's actual minutes though, because the way that Fitbit like calculates it, it's not legitimately 40 minutes because if you get your heart rate up
longer?
No, like if you're walking, then it's obviously more than 40 minutes because your heart rate isn't in that zone.
Until you get to a certain, so it's longer than 40 minutes,
It could be longer or it could be shorter.
As soon as you get on that treadmill, just hit 12 miles an hour and just start freaking sprinting.
I would die.
Don't you ever think of that? If I go faster, I'll get done sooner.
There is a part of me like, that thinks that, but also I know.
Would die.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I would. I can't physically, my little legs will not go past 7 miles an hour.
So those are kind of our top priorities, at least in the morning time. And then obviously we have the typical parent thing after school. You know, there's school pickup, and then, you know, there's make lunches for the next day. There's make dinner, make sure that the dinner is healthy, at least have a vegetable in there and make sure the kids eat that. We'll probably go further into our you know, schedule and that we have throughout the day. But you came across this helpful tool that's called the Eisenhower Matrix, which is a time management tool that helps individuals prioritize tasks based on their urgency and importance. Now there's different quadrants, and I know that you probably don't remember this by heart, so feel free to read it off of there, obviously. But yeah, tell us about the quadrants that you found.
Yeah, so as I was doing some research for this episode topic, I was also trying to improve the way that we do things. I found this and I thought it was kind of interesting, and I think that we're going to implement it on our side.
Okay.
To see how it works out. So basically it's 4 quadrants, and you just take those, all of your items that you have to do, all of your tasks, all of your priorities, and you just kind of list them out. From there, in quadrant 1, we're going to take the urgent and the important things. Now that is, those are the things that require the immediate attention. The things that you have to do first and foremost.
And that you should do first and foremost.
Yeah, that you should do first and foremost. Now that could be like, work, family related. It could be financially related. Like we have to make sure that we make the mortgage payment on the first of the month,
Right.
Those types of things. And it can be weekly tasks or on a monthly task basis.
Okay.
So then you go into quadrant 2. Now, quadrant 2 is the non-urgent but still important things.
Okay.
So those are essentially your long-term goals, your personal growth or well-being goals. These are the things that you kind of schedule. You schedule these tasks.
Okay.
So that would be like your personal workout.
Right.
Things like, okay, I'm going to read this book on self-help.
Okay.
Or even well-being. So your diet, those types of things. So we're going to prioritize those in quadrant number 2.
Okay. Now quadrant 3 is urgent, but not important.
Yes.
So they demand attention quickly, but don't contribute it significantly to your personal or professional goals.
Yeah. So those would be like things that you can delegate. So you don't personally have to do, but you can divvy it out.
Okay.
So in my mind, that goes to like kids' chores.
Okay.
Or even not necessarily kids' chores, but, in the summer, the lawn duty.
Oh, right,
those types of things. They're important.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm sorry, they're not urgent and they don't have to be accomplished like super quickly.
Right. But
they still fall into a relatively like relative area that needs to be accomplished.
Okay.
And the last one is those things that are not urgent and not even important, but they still are in the back of our minds, and those are things that we feel like we need to get done.
Yeah, just eliminate those.
Yeah, just get rid of those MFers.
So to reiterate, quadrant 1, urgent and important. That's what you should be focusing on first. Quadrant 2, not urgent, but important. These are those tasks that you can schedule out. Mm-hmm. Quadrant 3, urgent, but not important. And these are ones that you can delegate to other people, either the little minions in your family or possibly hire somebody else to do them.
Yes.
And then quadrant 4, not urgent, not important. Just get rid of the tasks, get them out of your mind, out of your space, so you can focus more on quadrant 1 and quadrant 2. Now, what is another thing that, you brought up while we were writing the show, or while you were writing the show, was batching tasks. What is batching tasks?
So that's like the grouping of similar tasks and putting together so that you can save time and save energy.
So like meal prepping for the week?
Yes. So like meal prepping. So you have everything, you've put together all of your meals, right, and you don't have to think about it, and you just pull it out and then you get it done for, that night.
Kind of like how we make lunch every single day for the kids, where we could just make it fully. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know about that.
No, I wouldn't do that.
I'm really picky with food. Like I wouldn't want a meal that was made on Monday for Friday.
Yeah, that's why we don't meal plan. And that's why we don't eat leftovers either, because you were the pickiest of the 5 of us in terms of food.
So for other families, this would work for you.
For normal, sane people, this would work.
So task batching, T-A-S-K batching. So grouping similar tasks together to save time and energy, like meal prepping for the week or cleaning and organizing certain areas or certain things at the same time. Mm-hmm. Not putting it off and saying, okay, I'll just clean this right now, and then next week I'll come back and I'll organize that as well. Focusing on like one area that can be put together basically into one big chore instead of two small chores that will eventually take up more time.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, how do you block out time to batch tasks efficiently without feeling rushed?
So, and that comes down to like scheduling and prioritizing your stuff, right? So that makes it so you got to really pay attention once you have figured out what those urgent and what those non-urgent type of things are, and what needs to be accomplished on a daily basis or even on a weekly basis. Then you can kind of develop good guidelines on how to batch those tasks. So it's going to be different for every family.
And then that consistency of batching frees up more time during the week.
Yeah, exactly. And also it'll fall into a routine. Like at first, I'm sure that it's going to be a little bit clumsy. And it'll feel a little chaotic because it might be different. Right. You know, you've probably been running on the same speed for many, many years, trying to accomplish everything and anything under the sun.
Right.
And now you're trying to reshift your whole entire, existence and
we keep on doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, expecting a different result.
Yeah. And we also know in the back of our minds, there has to be an easier way to do this.
Right.
This is ridiculous. And every single week we do it over and over and over. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like it's just really important to just take a second and try to weed out all the crap that isn't necessary, for one, and then simplify and organize the stuff that is important so that it works for your family.
Right. And now when we say, the title of this is Time Management Hacks for Parents. Now, when we say hack, everyone thinks like, oh, they got this, the secret sauce, we're going to hack in, I got dark shades on and a beanie and I'm just hacking into, the schedule. Really, it's just us, doing some research online, looking back at it, and we see that we're doing the same thing over and over again, and we're expecting a different result. Where if we look back at it and we look at how we're doing our tasks and our time management and how we aren't being as effective as we can be, right? And it will free up more time, believe it or not, doing a little bit more work right now to figure out what will work better in the future for our family. Now, another thing that we found is time blocking, which is allocating specific periods in the day for certain tasks, like blocking out time for work. Everybody does this. But we also got to block out time for family activities, household chores, and then obviously personal time. I do think that you and I have the day-to-day figured out mostly, like with our schedules.
Yes.
School, work, dinner, sports, no electronics for a certain time, do a family game. And then, then the kids are allowed to use electronics and then they go to bed and then you and I have our own time. And then that's kind of like what it is Monday through Friday.
It is. Yeah. And then we'll be really screwed when summer comes and it's just like a whole different bag. And then we'll have to figure it out from there.
I got to tell you though, some summers there are times where I'm like, I don't want these kids to go back to school.
I know.
I just love having them home. And then I think last summer I was just like, all right, let's go.
Wrap it up.
So, let's do an example of how, you and I schedule our days with blocks, it's just a block time. Obviously I know from 6 to 7, I'll be dropping, Preston off at school, waking up, dropping Preston off at school. 7 to 8, I know you're up. I come home, we
let's hope I'm awake.
We drop the other kids off and then obviously we have the regular work day. Kids need to be picked up. Then we have sports, dinner, all that, just like what I just said. And then, the nighttime is, typically around 8:30, 9 o'clock is when everything starts winding down.
I will say, hold on, before we go into that, I will say that on the work side of things, I even take it a step further, and I've done this for a very long time. I block out the same period of time, 2 2 chunks of time in my calendar so nobody schedules me into meetings during that period of time.
At work?
Yeah, at work.
Is that like while you're doing like pickup, or is it just like for you to have your own time to kind of get caught up?
It's during pickup and it's also during drop off, but it extends past that. So it gives me that breathing time to get back and not have anybody like harass me. So you don't
feel rushed.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
And then there are some days where I do it at lunch as well, or like what would be considered lunch.
Mm-hmm. Now,
so basically I just black out my whole calendar. My
she doesn't
full
even
day.
work. Yes. No, she doesn't work. No. So now another way to save time is also to delegate and ask for help, right? It's not, and you and I have had these discussions before in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know you get overwhelmed. And I'm just like, Deanna, how can I help? And it's not like I'm completely oblivious to how I can help, but it's also in the same way, like we have our segments of how we do stuff on a daily basis.
Right.
So I know that you handle X, X, and X, and I handle this, this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes our daily things get overwhelming, right? Even if they're on our shoulders and we've always taken care of it every single day, you know, we got to ask for help from either each other,
mm-hmm.
our parents, right?
Yeah.
If they're available, or our children.
Yeah.
Right? Especially the older ones.
I agree. And then
I'm sorry. And the key word for this is delegation, you know, asking people for help or delegating it to the little kids in your house for simple chores that they can do.
Yes, I agree. And also be specific.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're the type of person that has to have things done a certain way, you have to be specific. You can't just like assume that whoever you're asking to complete that task is going to do it a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And, or if you're okay with it, like if you want it done a specific way, be okay with the fact that it's done
mm-hmm.
and it's complete. And it might not necessarily be done in the way that you want it to be done, but it's also done.
Right. Now, and also for the kids' chores, right?
Yeah.
When you delegate these out, and I think even you and I have thought of, okay, well, he can't do this chore. He's not old enough. Right. Right. And then 3 or 4 doors down, now I'm not saying to do this, but 3 or 4 doors down, we have this kid that's younger than our oldest riding a riding lawnmower, cutting their grass at, I don't know, 7, 8 years old.
Yeah. And he uses the
0-turn lawnmowers.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the
weed whacker.
The weed whacker.
Yeah. So I mean, I think we also limit our kids of how they can help out sometimes.
Yeah.
So obviously there's safety concerns involved with the lawnmower. So no, don't come back at me and say that Matt told me to have my 2.5-month-old baby out here cutting the grass. But I mean, some kids can do more chores than what we give them credit for or what we think that they are mentally able to do. So just try it out, right? And then, you know, the practical delegation tips, like you wrote some great ones down here, like hiring help for cleaning, hiring help for grocery shopping. And I read a book a few years back, and it was very interesting about, you know, once you get to a certain point in your life, or once you get too busy, or once your career takes off, you know, and you still want to save money,
mm-hmm.
and you don't want to spend that $30, you don't want to spend that $40 or whatever it is to hire someone to grocery shop for you, right? You need to look back.
Wait, why is it so much for them to grocery shop?
$30
where
to $40?
Are you getting? Yeah, where are you getting?
Well, you
your
have the delivery
from?
fee.
It's like $7.99,
and then you have a tip.
Oh,
and if you're giving a 10% tip on a $300, it's $30 right there.
I get it. All right, your math wasn't mathing in my head. I forgot about tipping.
You have to. Okay. So don't let her order groceries from you. Let me order groceries from you, and I will tip. So, anyways, going back to it, you know, you think of the time that you're saving, especially if you're busy, by having somebody else do chores for you. Unless you like going grocery shopping, you know, that could be your thing to where you like
mm-hmm.
doing it and you like being out and
yeah, it's part of like your self-care.
Yeah.
Like you
walking around, getting
listening
out.
to a book and
that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But I don't enjoy it anymore and we hire someone to shop for our groceries and deliver them. And during that time that we spend the $30 or $40 to pay this person or tip this person, I'm already making money back because I am at home working on something else.
Yeah. It's like that task is done and we're good. And then we just have to wait for it to be delivered and then we'll put it away and wash our hands of it.
Yeah.
I will say that if we could delegate laundry to somebody, that would be amazing.
I'm sure they have that diaper laundry service, like pick up. They might do it for kids' clothes.
Yeah, but also I don't want anybody touching my stuff. Like if they could make a robot that does laundry,
yeah.
I would get it.
The problem is with our house is that our kids go through their entire wardrobe in one day, and we would need that 24-hour turnaround.
That's why we need a robot.
They'd be naked for school the next day.
We'd have the robot that would be just like doing the like hamper to the washer and then washer to the dryer. Yes, and then it'd be like, help, please.
It sticks its finger in like an electrical socket and then one leg in the tub, and he's like, I can't do it anymore.
We can't like keep these robots employed because they keep on
killing themselves. Maybe that's why our washer went out.
Probably.
So we need to break the super parent mentality. Get the kids involved with age-appropriate chores. Hire help for cleaning, grocery shopping, or whatever is possible and out there as an option. And ask extended family members or friends for support with school pickups or babysitting. Hopefully that's available to you.
Or even on the sport basis, you know, like if it is straining you so much to, take your kid to this one particular, practice or something because of the time, because practices now start at like 4:30 or 5 o'clock and then they go until like 6:30 or 7 or something. And it's like, what the fuck are these people thinking? But anyway, ask for help. Like ask another parent that you trust on the team to like pick them up and drop them off or something, or, split up those times. If you take them, could you please, and I'll pick them up, just asking for that help.
Yeah. The share rides or carpooling, one parent taking, kids to school or back or to practice and games. And yeah, that's perfect. Especially if you have that, like they used to say, it takes a village to raise a kid, and hopefully, everybody has that in their life. If not, I guess you could join some mom groups, start talking to the parents that are on the team, maybe go to PTO meetings and meet some people there as well at the school, the kids' school events, and just reach out that way to try to see what kind of help you can get, what kind of help is available. And also you can also, make some new friends that way as well. Now, moving on to automating routine tasks. You obviously do more of the automation than I do for our family. So what are a couple things that can be automated to help with this, time management?
So like all of our bills are automated.
Okay.
We don't pay any that aren't automated. Obviously you take care of the grocery ordering.
Right.
You do the whole entire list. Also, I mean, with that being said, we have just a running list in our kitchen. Something runs out and we write it down. And then from there, you have a set schedule where you order the groceries every Thursday.
Right.
And then you just take that list. You also are nice enough to make the meals. Do the special requests, ask the kids to do the special requests, and then you order those, get those automated and out the door. And then, subscription services, we don't have any of those. Oh, wait, no, we do, because you got fancy water.
So yeah, you can automate things such as far as like automatic bill of payments, where, if you have a monthly mortgage and it's the same price all the time, you can do that, or Comcast or your
credit card, whatever it is,
Right. And you can automate that. You can automate some grocery things. Some are more difficult than other.
And that would be subscription based, right?
Yeah, that would be subscription based. Yeah. So like on, Amazon, you could do, I drink essential water, I drink Fiji water. I just set that up on, I get a case every 2 weeks. Sometimes it's on time, sometimes it isn't. So that kind of sucks when it's not on time, because then you have to go outside of your automation and go and make a special trip for it. Right. Yeah. So,
but you can also do like diapers and stuff, baby wipes, those types of things that that you're going to end up needing on a, your kid, how much they poop normally. And then you can kind of schedule it once that time comes up.
And I don't know if other parents do it as well, but months and years in advance, we put, our appointments, plan vacations or ideas of vacations in our calendar. So nothing is like last minute. Nothing is, hold this business card for 6 months until your next, appointment. Like as soon as our appointments, and I think you kind of got me on this, but as soon as an appointment is made, it is in the calendar and it is there. Right. So we never double book.
That sounds right. I probably nailed that one into your brain.
We never overbook. We don't double book.
Yeah. But I also take it a step further. The second that the school calendars are released, I go into our calendar and I put down every half day, every break and everything. And I have it color coded by the child because they are in 2 different school districts.
Right.
And then I also, one of our middle kiddo, Brady, his school does a lot of spirit wear and like special dates and everything. And those get released on a monthly basis. So I put that in the calendar. So it's not like 11 p.m. the night before saying, tomorrow's the 100th day. I need you to sew 100 googly eyes onto a t-shirt for me.
No, and that's a great idea too, because especially at the start of school time, when we get that calendar for the whole school year, we're so busy. We just kind of, that's one of those things that we think is, important, but we put it over to the side. And then we get so wrapped up with the school year, getting in our new routines, and we forget to put this stuff in our calendars. We forget to acknowledge it. And then it's the night before. And like you said, the kid needs a costume for, the 100th day of school, or the kid needs a costume for, or baked goods or something like that for the next day. This way we have it in our calendar. It's there for the entire year. And typically there might be 1 or 2 things that pop up the entire school year that we just were not prepared for. And it wasn't on us. It was actually on the teacher or the school board.
100%. Yeah.
And then we also feel good because we can be like, hey, get your shit together. Yeah. We had our shit together.
We are so much better than you.
You guys need to listen to our podcast.
Sounds like you need some task management.
Now, talking about these extra things that come up, these things that weren't planned, these things that weren't scheduled. Let's talk about the importance of saying no.
Yeah, that is extremely important.
Why saying no is essential at times.
It is, because you don't want to overextend yourself. You don't want to overextend your kids.
Right.
And if something pops up that is spur of the moment and it works in your schedule, by all means do it. But if it's like pushing you and now you feel like everything is going to kind of teeter out of balance and you're going to feel like you're less successful in certain areas because now you can't do the things that you had tasked for that day.
Right.
Saying no is okay.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it before and I made fun of you for your analogy of buckets, like how you have buckets that get filled, right? You have certain buckets. But like when you're talking about things that aren't necessary, if it doesn't fill, my happiness bucket, or if it doesn't fill a happiness bucket for one of my kids, or it doesn't fill, you're not happy about it. It doesn't improve our life. It doesn't really, bring any joy to me or make me a better person to be a part of this thing. I'm not doing it. I'm saying no. And I know that sounds like an asshole thing, but I think it needs to be okay. It needs to start being okay in life for us to be like, no, and if I hurt your feelings, I'm sorry, but I'll see you at the next thing.
Yeah.
Right?
You're really good at that. You're really good at setting like healthy boundaries for yourself and knowing how to prioritize those things for yourself. And I think that I'm very bad at that. I tend to overbook myself to the extreme.
You are a people pleaser. And you want.
And then I bitch about how tired and exhausted I am. And then I just want to cry.
Well, like yesterday, we had you took Braden he had 2 soccer games back to back.
Yeah.
Then he had another soccer event to go to that night. And then he also had a birthday party. And you were like, we're going to do all of it. And you would have been driving back and forth across town from Novi to Howell to Novi to Howell to Detroit, from Detroit to Howell to Novi again.
Yeah.
All of them in one day.
And
I
in
just
my
said,
head,
Deanna,
I
stop.
thought, I mean, granted, that was 1 p.m., 2 espresso shots in, and I was like, I can fucking do it all. Bring it. I got it. And then you were like, go take a nap.
Yeah.
Let's try to take a little snooze. And I did. And then I was like, you know what? But no. And I also,
well, here's the thing.
I also asked Braden.
Exactly. You thought that after he just played, whatever their game is, an hour long or whatever, he just played 2 1-hour games back to back. He had to wake up early.
Mm-hmm.
It was his Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
It's his day off. And then, you thought in your head that he would want to do it all. And then you asked, I know. But then you asked him and he's like, well, if we don't go to this soccer event, this soccer game, will we be able to go to another one in the future? And you said yes. And he just chose one thing instead of doing both. Right?
Yeah.
So you were able to take a nap, take a little bit of, get a little bit of energy back, wake up and be refreshed for the night.
Yeah. And it worked out great. He had a blast.
Right.
And I wasn't extremely overwhelmed. And I mean, I still had a lot of guilt because the soccer event that we were supposed to go to was like seeing a professional soccer team play, and those cost money and, but also the cost of the tickets paled in comparison to what it would have cost me to drive out there and then drive back. 'Cause that would have been a full tank of gas.
Right.
And
I also want to say, and I know the people that listen to this podcast, which we greatly appreciate you listening and downloading and everything. I don't want you to think that I am a complete asshole. I am an asshole, but I'm not a complete asshole throughout the whole time. Now, when I say if it doesn't benefit me or my family, I'm not doing it. Yes, that sounds selfish. Sure. But that doesn't mean that I don't go out and do things like if someone is in need of something.
Yeah. You're normally the first person that offers a helping hand.
Right?
Yeah.
So, certain events, that's what I'm talking about. Events, things that come up last minute, birthday parties. If it doesn't, benefit us, my family, or if someone, one of my kids doesn't want to go, I don't feel bad for saying no.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to put my kid into a situation where they feel like they have to be there when they don't need to be.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have to recognize the limits, prioritize our family, our personal time, and also our family's feelings, and set healthy boundaries with friends, family, and work commitments.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I will say that being able to say no and having those healthy boundaries, it's not only good for you personally, but it's also a good trait to have your children see. Mm-hmm. Because like you said, I am a people person. Or
a people person?
A people pleaser.
Oh, people pleaser. There we go.
Yes.
Okay.
And I tend to overbook myself and overextend myself and then feel like crap after because I've done all of this, but there's really nothing to visually or like mentally prove in that.
Now, when I was a teenager, or even in my 20s, I always thought that if I said no, then I wouldn't be invited again, like to the next thing.
Yeah.
And I can see where I was with that. Like I would, okay, let's go. We're having a bonfire. Let's go. There's a show at a bar. Let's go. I'll go. I don't want to go, but I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And now I've completely shrugged that off, and I do not feel that way anymore. And if they don't invite me again, oh well. I'm straight.
Oh no, man.
So let's recap. We talked about prioritization, focusing on what matters most.
Yeah.
We talked about the task batching, grouping similar tasks to save time.
Yeah, that's huge.
We talked about time blocking, scheduling dedicated time for family and personal tasks. Mm-hmm. What else was there?
There was delegation, another huge one, making sure that you don't have, like we need to get rid of that whole entire thought process that we can individually do it all.
Got to ask for help.
Yeah, you got to ask for help and delegate all the crap. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the crap that you don't want to do. It's just the crap that you want to get off your plate and get done.
Right.
Automation. Automate all the stuff that doesn't need your immediate, your hands on it.
Right.
And
we have the technology out there to automate bills, to automate groceries, to automate shipments.
Let the robots do it. And then also saying no. Like just take a second, reflect on it, and say no if you want to say no. And don't feel guilty about saying no.
Right. No, I agree. And obviously, this is a work in progress. We don't have it 100% down, right? We might not have it 100% down in a year from now. But as long as we keep focusing on this and acknowledge that time management is an ongoing process, and that it's okay to adjust strategies as life changes.
Yes.
Let's stop doing the same thing over and over and over again, thinking that we're going to get a different result.
Yeah, you're not.
Right.
You're just going to slowly go crazy.
Yeah. We greatly appreciate you for listening.
Yeah, on that note.
We know you have time management. You don't want to sit here any longer.
Right.
We greatly appreciate you for listening. Our podcast is on all of the major streaming services. We also broadcast our live podcast, this recording right now, in a video on YouTube. If you ever want to see how we record it, what it looks like, how we talk with each other.
See our beautiful faces.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, once again, thank you for tuning in. If you ever want to reach out to us, you can reach us at info@chasingbalance.info. I'm Matt.
I'm Deanna.
And this is Chasing Balance.
Real life parenting, one conversation at a time.
We'll see you guys later.
Bye.